Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time for Edward. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for South Park Season 16, Episodes 5 and 6. Now, these episodes were fun. I gotta say, these episodes were entertaining. Thought they were a step up from before. And Episode 5 was a Butters episode. That's usually a good start because I really like the character. The other kids see that Butters getting abused and they think he's being bullied. Unbeknownst to them, he's being bullied by his own grandma. Which sometimes I didn't think was funny. I mean, I get the idea, but it's like, I just felt so bad for Butters that it was hard for me to laugh at. Just how much of a bitch his grandma's being. So I know you're supposed to laugh how silly it is, but again, I just felt so bad for Butters, and I liked the character. I just got really angry. But what I liked about it was talking about what how the anti-bullying campaign can be hypocritical if used the wrong way. Because you have this guy named Bailey who, how even though it's about anti-bullying, how they can still bully someone, and in their hypocritical nature, do the stuff that they're supposed to be against. So, for example, this guy Bailey's like, "Hey, we should have a seminar. We should have talk to kids about this." And the principal's like, "Oh, I don't know. We should do that." Or the counselor, I should say, not the principal, the counselor, Mr. Mackey. But then the Bailey bullies him into doing it to him crying, and then he submits into doing that. Same with people bullying, the guy's bullying for a volunteer, then Stan does it. And then Stan's kind of bullying Butters and to keep doing this even though he feels uncomfortable in making this music video. Stan kind of bullies him into it. Then Stan's going to sell the video because this movie company wants to buy the video of this anti-bullying music video. But then Bailey bullies Stan into, "Why didn't you tell me first? Well, you don't cry, you don't cry." Then Hollywood wants to bully Bailey. And then Jesus wants to bully Hollywood, the Hollywood producer. It's like this circle of bullying, like no matter what, he's like one wants to bully the other, even though that's what's supposed to be against, this whole hypocritical nature like I mentioned. I thought that was kind of funny. Even the music video I thought was kind of clever. I liked the way it was done, was trying to be all in one shot, one take. So actually pretty decent animation for the show. And like I said, they're usually fairly good at making these songs be catchy. And the song itself is about make bullying kill itself. So again, anti-bullying, but we don't tell someone to kill themselves, or in this case, bullying itself. And they pretty much verbalize the message blatantly. Because Kyle tells Stan, "Well, if you think people should see it, why don't you put it on the internet for free?" And Stan's like, "What are you talking about?" "I said if you think people should see it, why don't you put it on the internet for free?" So I guess also the creator of South Park's take on, some of these messages, if it's such for the common good, why are you trying to do it to make money off it? And either, not manipulate, but you're trying to, well, I guess like I said, make money off it. So I did like what it was trying to say. I kind of understood what it was trying to say. I kind of like this circle of bullying where one does the other, to the other, to the other, to the other. I did like Butter's final bid to Grandma. I thought that was kind of satisfying. Where he's like, "You know what? It happens all the time. It happens to everybody. But eventually, grow out of it, and I'll be happy. And someday you won't die. In fact, pretty soon." And the grandma gets worried that she's trying to sleep. "Yeah, And when you do, I'll still be happy. And you'll die. Like the way Butters says that, I thought, okay, that gave a bit of a satisfaction to the end of it. One thing I thought I was just really confused by, and I think a lot of people were confused by, is this thing where Kyle's like, if you don't be careful, Stan, you don't be somewhere when San Diego jacking it naked, and Stan is as confused as I am. And then even at the end of the episode, I'm like, what the fuck is this about? Why is he in San Diego? Why is he naked? Why is he jacking it? As his song is like, jatted it, jat, jat, jatted it, jatted, jat, jat. He's in San Diego, he's jatted it, jat. I'm like, what the fuck is this about? I guess some guy named Jason Russell who did some documentary called Corey around 2012 or so. I guess this was about some kind of activist type of thing. But then somehow, for some reason, he was caught public lewd behavior doing something like this. And that's all I could get like from the Wikipedia. I still don't know the whole story, so it still left a bit of a confusing bit on it as to what the fuck is this about. I think that's the thing though, is with South Park, because they do the animation so fast, if something just happened on the news, they could put in there in a matter of days. But in the long run, that kind of hurts it because there's some things that will feel dated. Like, how many people don't know what the fuck this is about? But I guess it's not about the long term, it's about the moment. So again, the ending that was just confusing. And kind of hurt the episode a bit for me. Because it was so centered on Butters, and then it became centered on Stan. But, like I said, it was nice to see Butters in there. There's him getting pissed at the Dr. Oz show, because like a lot of these shows do, they push him into being uncomfortable. They get a reaction. So, of course, Butters gets the reaction and tries to strangle this Dr. Oz guy. To me, it might as well have been Dr. Phil, because Dr. Phil does that shit. And I would love to see Butters strangle Dr. Phil. So, I actually would have preferred if it was Dr. Phil. But, do I think Dr. Phil's a fucking prick? So I did like the music video. I thought that was kind of fun and clever. I did like the whole anti-bullying stuff. I was surprised Cartman was not in this episode as much, considering the subject matter. I mean, really the only bit he has is the first beginning saying, why do all music videos people talk about their vajayjay? So during the music video, he pops in wearing women's clothes, saying vajayjay. That's really all Cartman has in this. Don't even remember Kenny in the episode. And once in a while, the grandma stuff was kind of humorous. Like when they're in the bathroom, it's like, you see this? And she picks up the urinal. This is a narc puck. And she's trying to force it in Butter's mouth. And then someone stops it. But yeah, I know it feels stupid, but it's just I feel so sorry for the Butters character that at times with the grandmas being so mean to him. I just got so mad and angry because I like the character. Which I know is stupid as hell, but it's just, I don't know. I don't know why I'm sticking up for fictional character, but overall I didn't mind the episode. And episode 6 was actually my favorite of the season so far. Because as his intro, the Colorado Rockies, and it's trying to be like those reality shows, survival shows, of like How Am I Alive type of shows. So it's done with narration, it's done with the kids being interviewed, and then it's what happened. And you realize the danger was boredom. I should have never gone ziplining. Because even at the start of the episode, I'm like, oh, okay, it's going to go into the dangers that happen. And I should have known it'd be something else, because South Park is usually a bit more clever than that. They go on the tour group, but they get into a long shuttle ride. That's very, very boring. They're told about this and this, but again, very, very fucking boring. And the kids are being interviewed afterward about how boring it is and how suffering they were because of this boredom. And I like that. I kind of like those reality shows. Some of those, there are times where it'll go into the person's body. Their brain is lacking excitement, and up close shots of their neurons and their body, and how this lack of excitement is depleting their brain, and they're in danger now. I thought the way it was done, to be done like a reality show with the interview, I thought that was really clever. It made it seem different. It made it seem unique. And I appreciate when a show like this does that from time to time. It breaks up the monotony. And I thought the narrator, who I guess has narrated some of these actual shows, they picked the right guy. On a trip from hell. And like they zip line and they're like, how was it? And Cartman's like, it's fucking boring as shit. I will admit that got a laugh out of me. And they're trying to get out, but they get to horseback riding, but that becomes very boring. And then a boat ride, but that becomes very boring. And it just shows that, you know what? Some of this stuff can actually be really fucking boring if you're not into this. And is that always death-defying like some of these shows, reality shows, make it out to be. And also, little kids would probably find a lot of this shit boring and would find this episode kind of relatable to that. And also, they do reenactments, but just, I thought it was kind of funny that the reenactments were actually live action. So you got these adults, there are live action versions of, well, I guess, versions of these characters. Cartman, Kyle, Kenny. And I thought that was funny to see live action versions. Even though they don't really look like the characters. It's just like one has Cartman's hat. The other has Kenny's coat. But that's really the only bit they see. They're like, I don't know, 30, 40 years old. And I did like Kenny, who's got this cold sore on. The way he's like, I don't know, I don't give a shit. He's not the. I guess the live action reenactments. At first, when I saw it, I thought it was going to be a lot more like them. So, like, Kenny would be like this, and you can barely see him. And, like, Stan would wear his hat. But not really. I guess that's maybe a take on how some of the reenactments are not really as faithful as they would be in real life. How there could be some artistic license with it, even with reenactments. Because, like, Stan isn't wearing his hat, and I said, Kenny's not really covered like this. He just kind of nonchalant, and he just mumbles. But I will admit, when he mumbled, I did laugh at that. And ultimately, Mr. Hankey saves him, and the episode ends. And they definitely do an ode to Mountain Dew, and then there's like, was it Double Dew, and then Diet Double Dew, which is half the calories, but it's pretty much just Mountain Dew, but just called Diet Double Dew. And yeah, I mean, the bit with the diarrhea bit, that kind of humor is not really for me. Even Mr. Hankey, like the live action version, is just a glob of shit. And then it goes back to the animated, and of course there's Mr. Hankey. I just actually thought the live action, they would actually do like a, I don't know, an action figure or something of Mr. Hankey, but it just really was just I just I'm kind of in between the reenact. Like I think it's clever and fun, but I kind of wish they went more looking like the show. Like if the characters were a bit more dressed like the characters in the show. Just to see how these guys look like live action. I'm actually, but I guess that's the whole point. Like that's why they got 40-year-old guys instead of kids to do it. You know, that's why they got. I mean, that's the whole point. I guess is that these reenactments aren't really as faithful, and there's so much, like I said, artistic license that I guess that's part of the joke. To be fair, so if you made it more faithful, it would lose the whole point of the joke. So yeah, I get what it was going for. I actually try to relate to the kids because I'm seeing this and going, you know what? I would probably be bored out of my mind too. Because I don't want to go horseback riding. I don't want to ride on a boat. I'd be bored as shit too. So I have to relate to the characters and laugh at their predicament because I'd probably be feeling the same way back then and now. So, but I said I like that it was trying something new with the again the narration and the interviews and the reality show style format and the live action reenactments. It felt like a breath of fresh air. Like I said, the diarrhea humor, again, not really my cup of tea, but overall, I thought it was a clever, fun episode. And I'd probably say my favorite or one of my favorites of this season so far. If it's not my favorite, then it's one of my favorites of this season so far. So, I did quite enjoy that. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Thank you once again, Edward, for your generosity. And we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.